when Phylicia Rashad leaned in and whispered into Malcolm Jamal Warner's ear at his funeral. The world stopped. What did she say? And why are people calling this moment more than just a goodbye? This story will break your heart and reveal a truth no one saw coming, a rosé whisper, and a goodbye that shook the entire room. What Phylicia Rashad did at her on-screen son's funeral has left millions speechless, but there's one moment no one can forget. No cameras, no scripts, just Phylicia Rashad, standing over Malcolm's casket, saying the words she had held in for years. What happened next brought an entire room to tears and the internet to a halt. "I'm tired now, Mama P. I'm at peace." That was the last thing Malcolm ever said to Phylicia Rashad, and what she revealed at his funeral no one was ready to hear. He said, "You're the only one who sees me." And in the end, she was Phylicia Rashad's final goodbye wasn't just emotional, it was unforgettable. No one ever imagined she would break down like that, not even her own family. But when Phylicia Rashad rose to speak at Malcolm Jamal Warner's funeral, her hands were shaking and her voice was full of pain. The entire room fell silent, and what she said next brought people to tears. Then came the whisper, a quiet message as she gently placed a rose on his casket. That single moment, it has taken over the internet. This was a goodbye no one saw coming. Welcome back to World of Stars, where we explore the most emotional, shocking, and unforgettable stories from the lives of your favorite celebrities. Today's story is heartbreaking. It has left fans around the world stunned. We are talking about Phylicia Rashad's emotional tribute at the funeral of her on-screen son and real-life dear friend, Malcolm Jamal Warner. Their bond went far beyond television. For years, viewers admired how close they seemed, but few knew just how deep their connection really was. Phylicia was more than a co-star, she was like family. And when she finally stood to say goodbye, it felt raw, honest, and deeply personal. In this video, we will reveal what Phylicia said during her emotional speech, the behind-the-scenes events before the funeral, how the Cosby Show cast reacted, and the truth about Malcolm's final words, which Phylicia bravely shared. Stay with us until the end, because what happened at that funeral, it will completely change how you see their relationship. From the first episode of The Cosby Show, fans instantly loved the bond between Phylicia and Malcolm. She played Claire Huxtable, the graceful and wise mother. He played Theo, her smart and charming son. But what most people did not know is that their relationship behind the scenes was just as strong, maybe even stronger. Off camera, Phylicia became a steady, guiding presence in Malcolm's life. People in the industry often called her his second mother. She was not just giving him acting tips, she helped him stay grounded emotionally, especially during his teenage years. When fame could have easily overwhelmed him, sources close to the show say Phylicia often used her lunch breaks to walk with Malcolm around the lot, just the two of them. They would talk about everything: school, manhood, and the dangers of Hollywood. She gave him real wisdom. In a 2016 interview, Malcolm said, "If it weren't for Phylicia, I might have gotten lost in it all. She reminded me who I was outside of Theo." That quote has gone viral since his passing. Fans are now realizing how truly close they were. People who knew Malcolm say Phylicia was always the one he turned to when life got tough. Whether it was career struggles, heartbreak, or health problems, he trusted her. Even though he kept most people at a distance, he always let Phylicia in. So when she stood up to speak at his funeral, every word hit hard. But before we get to that powerful speech, there is something else you need to know. Just days before Malcolm passed away, something happened between him and Phylicia. A private moment no one was ever supposed to hear about. And now, it is something Phylicia will carry with her for the rest of her life. One quiet Wednesday evening, Phylicia Rashad's phone rang. She almost ignored it. It had been a long day, and she was tired, but something told her to answer. On the line was Malcolm. His voice was soft and calm, but there was a strange heaviness behind it. Something that made her heart stop for a moment. "You have always been there for me," he told her. His voice cracked as he paused. "I just wanted to say thank you for never letting me forget who I really am." Phylicia was caught off guard. She asked if everything was okay, but Malcolm did not explain. He did not speak of pain or sadness. He simply said, "I am tired now, Mama P. I am at peace." Let that sink in. A man known for always being strong, smart, and steady, was now quietly saying goodbye, and Phylicia could feel it. She knew, deep in her heart, what he meant. A close family friend later shared that after the call ended, Phylicia sat in silence. She held the phone tightly and whispered to herself, "No, not yet." She tried calling back. No answer. She sent a message, still no reply. That night she barely slept. Just 2 days later, the heartbreaking news arrived: Malcolm Jamal Warner had passed away. The official cause was sudden drowning. But even now, many online still wonder about the strange circumstances surrounding his death. For Phylicia though, the cause did not matter as much as that last phone call. It felt like he had been preparing her in the only way he could. And then came something even more haunting: a voicemail. Days before his passing, Malcolm had left her a message. Sources close to the family say this message was played quietly during the funeral. In it, Malcolm said, "If I leave this world tomorrow, I just want you to know your love made me a better man. You saved me." Fans never heard that message. But those who were there say it moved everyone to tears. And slowly, the world is beginning to understand just how deep their bond really was. But what came next was even more powerful. When Phylicia rose to speak at the funeral, the entire chapel went silent. The air was heavy. Every seat was filled. Musicians, producers, and longtime friends. The front row held familiar faces from The Cosby Show and across Black Hollywood. All had come to honor Malcolm. But no one was prepared for the weight of Phylicia's grief. Dressed in a flowing black gown, her silver hair wrapped in a traditional African headscarf, she walked slowly to the podium. The room felt frozen in time. She placed her hands on the edges of the podium. Then, in a trembling voice, she spoke. "I have lost a son." That one sentence shattered the room. People wept openly. There was no script, no performance, only real, aching grief. She spoke of the day they first met. Malcolm had been just a teenager. But even then, she saw something in him: a calm strength, a quiet sensitivity. He did not need to shout to be noticed. His presence spoke for itself. Phylicia shared stories of holidays spent together, long talks during breaks on set, and private letters he had written during hard times. They were not just co-stars. They were family. But then, her voice changed. She leaned in, and with quiet honesty, said something no one expected. Malcolm was in pain. The room grew tense. She did not sugarcoat it. She wanted the truth to be known. He carried burdens many of you will never understand. He smiled for the world, but he bled in silence. He struggled. And even though he never wanted pity, I wish he had told more of us how deep that struggle went. At that moment, tears flowed harder than before. It became painfully clear Malcolm had been silently fighting a battle far deeper than what anyone could see on a screen. Phylicia paused again during the funeral. Slowly, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. Her voice soft, she said, "He gave me this 2 weeks before he passed. He told me to read it only if he ever left early." The entire chapel fell silent. No one moved. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the note. What she read next would be shared all over the internet within hours. Someone in the crowd had quietly recorded the moment, without her knowing, and posted it online. In Malcolm's own words, Phylicia read, "If I die before I wake, know that I tried. I tried to be more than a role, more than a face, more than what they expected of me. And if I ever inspired anyone, let it be because I loved without limits. And because I never stopped trying, even when I was tired." As those words filled the chapel, the sound of crying echoed all around. Phylicia gently folded the note again, tucked it back into her pocket, and finished with a final line. "He was not just my TV son. He was my heart, my boy. And I will love him forever." When she stepped down from the podium, no one clapped. No one whispered. The whole room stood in silence for a full minute. It was grief, pure and shared. But what happened next made the goodbye even more emotional. Just before they closed the casket, Phylicia slowly walked up one last time. She leaned over, whispered something into Malcolm's ear, and placed something into his hands that shocked everyone. The entire chapel seemed to hold its breath as the ceremony neared its end. The mood inside the room shifted. It was full of sorrow, but also full of love. Phylicia rose from her seat again, holding something carefully wrapped in cloth. Those sitting near her noticed it was a single red rose, but not just any rose. It had a thin gold ribbon and a tiny note tied to its stem. She walked toward the open casket. Each step she took felt heavy with meaning. Slowly, she reached Malcolm's side. She gently placed the rose into his hands. Then she did something no one expected. She leaned forward, placed her hand over his chest, and whispered in his ear. No one could hear what she said. Not his family. Not the cast. Not even the cameras. But the look on her face, part smile, part deep sadness, said it all. Many who were there called it a sacred moment. Some said, it looked like a mother saying goodbye to her own child. Others thought they saw her whisper the words, "I forgive you, but forgive him for what?" That one moment sparked a storm online. People everywhere began to wonder, what did Phylicia mean? Was it something he was carrying inside? Did they have a painful memory, a falling out, or a shared secret? Phylicia has not said anything about it since. But according to people close to the Cosby Show family, Malcolm had started to pull away from Phylicia in his final years, not out of anger, but out of guilt. Guilt for what? One friend said Malcolm once told them, "I should have visited her more, called her more. She gave me so much, and I do not think I ever gave enough back." That quiet regret, that emotional weight. Maybe that was what Phylicia was responding to in that final whisper. Maybe that was the peace he needed all along. After she placed the rose and whispered goodbye, she leaned in and kissed his forehead. It was so tender, so full of love, that people in the front row broke down in tears. Then, just as she was about to step away, Phylicia removed a pendant from around her neck. It was a small gold ankan, ancient Egyptian symbol that means eternal life. She tucked it under Malcolm's hand, beside the rose. "Carry it with you," she whispered. Only one person nearby heard her. That moment with the rose and pendant became something the world would never forget. Fans were so moved that they started creating murals and digital art of Phylicia placing the rose in Malcolm's hands. The hashtag Rose for Malcolm began trending for 2 straight days. Thousands posted pictures holding red roses, sharing their love and grief. One tweet read, "I never met him, but I cried like I lost a brother. Thank you, Phylicia Rashad, for showing the world what real love looks like." Her final goodbye touched hearts everywhere. It made people wonder what their last talks were really like, what was said, what was felt, and what may have been forgiven. But the story was not over yet. Just a few days later, something unexpected happened. Phylicia Rashad, who had stayed silent on social media for years, returned with a post that stunned both her fans and Malcolm's followers. The world was still grieving the funeral, still replaying her tearful goodbye. And then, out of nowhere, she broke her long silence with a message that went viral within an hour. For years, Phylicia rarely posted anything online. She often said that the most sacred things in life do not need attention or approval. But that Sunday morning, 5 days after the funeral, she changed everything with one powerful post. The photo was simple, yet full of meaning. It showed a young Malcolm Jamal Warner leaning his head on her shoulder backstage during a break from filming The Cosby Show. His face looked young and calm. Her hand rested gently on his head, and her eyes showed quiet strength and deep love. Caption: just 5 words. "You were always my son." No hashtags, no names, just those words. In minutes, the post exploded. Celebrities like Viola Davis, Tracee Ellis Ross, Angela Bassett, and Oprah commented with tearful emojis and words of love. Fans flooded the comments, many writing how they had grown up watching the two of them and how their bond had always felt real. One fan wrote, "You weren't just TV to Usu, we're family. Watching you say goodbye felt like we all lost someone." But then something else caught people's attention. Buried in the comments was a reply from Phylicia herself. A fan had asked, "Do you think he knew how much we loved him?" Phylicia responded, "He didn't think he mattered anymore. But I told him before he left that he was love itself. He just didn't believe it at the time." That one comment spread like wildfire. The idea that someone as talented, respected, and admired as Malcolm Jamal Warner could feel like he did not matter struck a painful nerve. It broke hearts, and it opened eyes. Soon, mental health advocates, therapists, and fans started resharing Phylicia's words everywhere. The phrase "he didn't think he mattered anymore" became viral on TikTok and Instagram. People began opening up about their own struggles with self-worth and loneliness. In one emotional video, a young man stared into the camera with tears in his eyes and said, "If Malcolm didn't think he mattered, maybe we all need to tell the people we love that they do before it's too late." The ripple effect was huge. Fan pages turned Phylicia's message into posters, artwork, and t-shirts. The quote "You were always my son" appeared on murals, in poems, and in tribute posts across the world. But the moment that touched people most came just 24 hours later. Phylicia posted to her story. A black screen, soft piano music played in the background, and one powerful message appeared in white text. To every soul who ever felt unseen, Malcolm was one of you. And he was extraordinary. So are you. That message was shared over 2 million times in just 2 days. Her quiet words sparked a movement. Mental health organizations reached out to work with her. Fans launched a scholarship in Malcolm's name. Teachers, counselors, and community leaders began using his story to speak to young men, especially young Black men, about depression, identity, and emotional pressure. Phylicia's loved Malcolm's pain, and their unbreakable bond had created something no one could have imagined, a wave of healing and hope that continues to grow. All of this began with just one post, one tribute, one heartbreaking loss. But the story did not end there. Just when people had started to process the pain of Malcolm Jamal Warner's passing, something unexpected showed up online. It opened the wounds again and reminded everyone how deeply he and Phylicia Rashad were connected. A never-before-seen behind-the-scenes video taken quietly by a crew member during the final season of The Cosby Show suddenly started to spread across social media. It was not polished or edited. The picture was a bit blurry, and the sound was not perfect. But what it showed touched everyone's heart. Malcolm, probably around 20 years old, was sitting on a folding chair between scenes. He looked tired. His head was low, hands folded between his knees. Then Phylicia Rashad walked up to him. She knelt down in front of him and gently put her hands on his shoulders. At first, it was hard to hear what she said. But as she leaned closer, the microphone caught it. "You don't need to be perfect to be loved, baby. You just need to be real." Malcolm looked up, eyes filled with emotion, and quietly said something no one expected. "You're the only one who sees me." That one sentence, "You're the only one who sees me," hit everyone like a wave. The clip spread fast. Actors, therapists, mental health advocates, and even spiritual leaders reshared it. It reminded the world that even someone as confident and charming as Malcolm had struggles he kept inside. And Phylicia, she was the one person who truly saw him beyond the spotlight. Fans quickly combined that video with footage of Phylicia's eulogy, creating touching tributes that brought people to tears. One video ended with the words, "She saw him when he was alive and she held him when he was gone." That clip felt like a gift, a small window into a beautiful bond that shaped not just the lives, but the hearts of viewers who grew up watching them. Why this tribute meant more than we realized. Phylicia's tribute was not just a farewell. It was a reminder to check in on the strong ones, to love deeply and speak openly, to see people not just their smiles, but their struggles too. It reminded us that the greatest thing we can offer each other is the feeling of being truly seen. Malcolm may be gone, but through Phylicia's words, his memory lives on, not just as a legacy, but as a message, a reminder, a mirror. If this story touched your heart, let us know. Share your favorite memories, the Theo moments that made you smile, or your thoughts on Phylicia's tribute. And if someone you care about is hurting, please do not wait. Tell them they matter. Let them know they are seen.